So today is the 18th of July 2014. My name is Raffaele Polito and this interview is for the Mingai London Institute British Chinese Workforce Heritage Project. So could I begin by asking your name?
My name is called Shirley He.
And where were you born?
I was born in Hong Kong.
So tell me a little bit about your family.
My family is a very simple family. They live in the New Territories in Hong Kong. My dad came to England about 1964. Then my mom joined my dad in 1972. Then all the children, me and my six younger sister, came to UK in 1973 or 74 to join my parents and my brother and sister. They were in UK at the time.
Right. And can you tell me a bit about your educational background?
I received secondary education in Hong Kong. Then I came over to England. I continued to study for the GCSE O-level. Then I worked for my dad for a few years in the restaurant. Then I decided I want to pursue nursing. So I went into nursing in 1978. I was qualified as a state enrolled nurse in 1980s. And then I came up to Manchester to work first as an anaesthetic nurse for many years. And I was specialised in radiology nursing for many years. Then in 1992, I went for my conversion course, and then I became a first level nurse. And then I pursued further education. So I went to MMU for my BA Health Study, where I obtained my degree. And after that, I had an opportunity to work for Weymouth, at the time was the Weymouth Chinese Women's Society, as a volunteer. So before that, I had no idea about the Chinese community because I consider myself, I was fully integrated into the British society before 1996, yeah.
Okay, and when you arrived to the UK, what were your first impressions?
Actually, my first impression of UK was not very good because I realized very quickly, of course it's much bigger than Hong Kong. It's very quiet, not many friends, you don't eat the same food, there's not many Chinese around because we were in a small town, in the seaside. And we were very little knowledge about British life, to be honest. So the first shock was that weekend, Sunday was closed. So me and my three sisters, we walked all the way to the seafront from our house. And we were shocked to see all the shop was closed. Nobody tell us the shop was closed on a Sunday. So we thought everybody was ill or sick. So there was the impression it's not very good. There's no shopping around after 5 o'clock on those days. And there's no shopping around during the bank holiday worse. You know, if you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday bank holiday, in those days, in the early years, all closed. So it's very, very lonely and bored.
Okay. So you were mentioning a bit about your previous working experience.
Mm-hmm.
So before working at the Chinese Health Information Center, you mentioned that you worked for Weymouth. What about other jobs that you had in the past?
Actually, my friend at the Weymouth, she was a volunteer as well. She persuaded me to do some volunteer work. I got involved initially was to teach a group of elderly English. From there, I realized there was a great need in the Chinese community. So, and then there was an opportunity. They received the first lot of the lottery money. They got an elderly project. So me and my friend, I think now it's called a mental health worker at the Weymouth. We share a job. Yeah, we share a full-time job in the elderly project. So I was employed as a part-time elderly coordinator. So without knowing much about the Chinese community, they said they have to develop elderly project. Now I got the benefit because I can speak Hakka, which is my local dialect. Most of the elderly in Manchester, they speak my language. So I was the coordinator for the elderly project for 6 months. And then within 6 months, I quickly developed, maybe I'm the founder of the Chinese Elderly Lunching Club. So from nothing, it grew to 80 members in 6 months' time. And there was a great need for elderly lunching club at that time because people don't even know what's lunching club about. So I took them around to taste all the mainstream luncheon club around Manchester area. So it takes a bit of effort because they are not keen, because you have to travel to different luncheon club. And because we have to show the government, local government, that we cannot eat their food. And it was true, they cannot eat their food. In one instant, it was booked for 26 people to have lunch in a particular luncheon club in Volley Ranch. So that day was cold, it was wet, so the group was very hungry, of course. and then the lunch was chips, dry chips, cabbage, and beef steak. You know what I mean? Beef pie, steak and kidney pie. And I was shocked to hear 2/3 of the elderly could not eat beef, and the portion was so small, and they were so hungry. So eventually they eat the chips, you know what I mean, that to fill up the tummy. So that day I think the council had one officer came out to assess the need of the Chinese elderly, whether they want the luncheon club. So that was a great proof that we cannot eat their food. So the demand was huge. I think because of that work, very quickly after that, Weymouth got £45,000 from the aged concern to set up a Chinese luncheon club for the elderly. I think it was in 1996. Then, very quickly, I think I got a job in the hospital. So I thought I have to leave Weymouth, for my job. I think between that time, there was a post in here. They need a nurse operation manager in this center. I have no idea what's Chinese Health Information Center about. But the colleague in Weymouth, they all pushed me, go on, go for the job. I had no idea what the job about, but I thought about it, but I didn't think that I'm going to work for it. So I came here and then I researched what is this Chinese Health Information Center about. Then I asked for the annual report. So I have some idea about what is this all about. So I fill in my application form. I didn't think I would got the job or the interview, but they called me for the interview. So then I got the job since then.
So could you talk about any projects that the center runs at the moment?
The center runs quite a lot of, I put it in this way, this center provides a wide range of services, okay? We don't say project as such, but because it's well-established community-based health center for 26 years, yes. So in the early days, we do a lot of project after project, but I think more settled in the last 10 years, it become a very stable services. I think in the past, we've done a lot of health project like Stress Among Chinese Women project, the elderly project. That's why we identify the need of the Chinese community. They need a lunching club. They need, the health, the assessment needs show that they wasn't aware a lot of the mainstream services. So we've done quite a lot of services like this, but bigger scale one, we do a lot of alcohol and drug project with other community group, like the in the past it's called the drug and waste unit. Yeah, we also do quite a lot of project with the linking to the Lancashire University. We did a drug awareness project for the Chinese community, and mainly is to raise, drug awareness among the youth and the general population. Some other project like the parenting, Chinese parenting project, we've done a very good piece of work in the past. Actually, it's a lot. I can't remember all this, it's so long ago. And we've done a lot of large-scale health day. And the more recent project was we did hepatitis B testing clinic in Manchester, where we identified 9 people out of 100 testing to be hepatitis B positive, which shows a very good work, and they all were referred to specialists for further investigation and treatment. And more recently, we engaged in the community organizing project. So from that collaboration, we have a lot of innovation in our work in terms of promoting health promotion, promoting better life, better health, better living. So at the moment, there are, growing your own vegetable project, turn Chinatown into green, to grow some vegetable around the Chinatown areas, and also the litter picking in Chinatown once a month. And also there are establishment to a meeting with the local council once a month for the Chinese community. So there's quite a few work going on. And more recently, we work with the Yo Dong Sing, which is a Chinese, I think more like a Chinese housing association. We have some partnership with them. From there, we also organize quite some day trip for the elderly, some community work for the community, for the elderly. I think we're planning to have Tai Chi courses for the elderly in the community, and also we're planning for more day trip for them. They seem to enjoy this very much.
Right. And how is your role, your position involved in all these projects?
I am the developer, if you like, also the implementer, implement the project, and also the facilitator as well as the organizer. Right. More into this role.
Okay, so can you recall any significant events in the history of the center and some important plans for the future?
Because things are changed over time, yeah. The health structure also change. Also, the focus on health promotion also change from time to time. So it's very difficult for me to, at this point, to say which one is more important. For example, now it's more prevention of illness rather than to cure illness. Can you see? So our focus has been shifting. Yeah, in the past, our Chinese GP surgery is very important to the community because this is give them an access due to language barrier. They cannot communicate with the GP. In those days, in those early years of the centers, it is a very important piece of work because a lot of people cannot speak the language. Now you see from time to time over the years now you got interpreting service provided by the NHS. So more people are more referred back to the mainstream. And more in recent years you got the NHS walk-in center. You got a lot of health walk-in center, women's clinic, more available, accessible to local people and with language language support. So the need seems to change more. Can you see what I'm trying to say? So to answer your question, it will be very difficult, depending on what you want to hear.
All right.
Can you understand me?
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
more to me more like signposting them to the right direction. People coming into my center, like today you see a patient coming with a letter, they don't understand, and they need us to phone the hospital for their health problem, to liaise with the health professional. Maybe they will need urgent referral, they may need an urgent appointment. So we are the media to bridge the gap to help these people to sort out their health need. Yeah. So in here is this quite a big important part of the work as well. Some other like promoting better health, better living. I think we run a lot of service like Tai Chi classes for the elderly, not for the elderly, for people over the 65 years old plus. And we also provide food service service for people more so with diabetes or with vascular diseases, or people elderly with food problem. They can get a self-referral and they can be seen by a podiatrist. And also telephone advice, telephone help and information. People will phone up, I got this problem, what do I do? So there are a core service in this center. Yeah, there's another part of our outreach project is our interpreting service project, which earned its reputation. We provide the local hospital with Chinese health interpreter, cover up, I think about 5 to 6, 7 local hospital in here. So that's one part of our important job as well.
So now we're gonna move to the second part of the interview. I'm gonna ask you about your personal experience. So, what made you want to work in the community healthcare sector after working as a nurse in the NHS?
I think before 1996. Before I become a volunteer in the YE, actually I know very little about the Chinese community in Manchester. But only when I become a volunteer, I realized there was a great need in the Chinese community. And then for my adult, my elderly project, being a coordinator, so I was organizing day trip, health day, health because I'm specialized in health. So I do a lot of, I organize a lot of health talk among those days. And the response was huge because every time you got 40, 50 people. Some of them, in those early days, we got 90 people, 140 people in the community coming for our health talk, how we went, like Cancer Awareness Day, like Men's Health Day, Women's Health Day, are very good participating, are very high. Yeah? So I found out I got a lot of skill. Basically, I can speak quite a few dialects. I can speak Mandarin, Cantonese, and Hakka. And also I'm one that, the white person to do a lot of health work. So I would thought that my skill would be better used in the Chinese community than in the hospital because they're not short of nurses. There are loads of nurses in the NHS, aren't there? But there are not many nurses like my background, like me, in the community. Actually, there aren't any. There are very little. I don't recall any. You know what I mean? Because I worked for the NHS for many years, and I also know hospital work very well, how the setting and all that. So this job, I think, fit in my character. I'm just fit into this job, I suppose. Yeah, and I learned much as well. More interesting, more challenging. Yeah, more challenging, I would thought. Yeah, that's why.
What would you say is the
Sorry?
You were finishing your...
I finished.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's why. It's more challenging in the community. You're meeting different people every day, like yourself today.
Okay.
I've never seen you before.
What do you think is the best thing about your job?
The best thing of my job, I have to thank my management committee board for their support of me, being giving me that kind of liberty to develop the center. Yeah, to be the center will be in line with the NHS, of course. Yeah, with the NHS target and goal, because we do a lot of health promotion on like NHS breast screening awareness, NHS bowel screening, NHS smear test. So all these were very much in line with the government initiative or government program. We try to encourage more to people to be referred to accept this invitation. I think through all this, just now you mentioned what kind of most important job. Actually, there's a lot. One time we have a smear clinic in here. We were able to perform quite a lot of smear tests on a group of women. The result was good as well, because those people, some of them, they don't go for the smear test. So because there's one in here, so they came along, and then they will be more encouraged to go back to their GP in future when they know how important to have a cervical smear done. Yeah.
Okay. What is, on the other hand, the worst thing about your job?
The worst is worry about funding. Okay, because my job is funded by the public health department of the city council, but usually, traditionally, we are funded by the Manchester NHS, or more previously is by the PCG, Manchester PCG, yeah, the health authority in the local in Manchester. But now, since last year, this shift, so we are now under the council, the public health department. They funded my job. I think the most important threat, yeah, if funding ceases, that's the difficult. And also we have to fundraise every year to get the center going, because a lot of funding do not fund your running costs. So that will be one of the worst scenario if, we are not able to raise funding, or the funding stop to fund the staff. I think that's the most worrying things. Yeah.
What is your attitude concerning work, and where do you think this attitude comes from?
I think I have a lot of passion for my work. I think you can tell. I like my job. I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I'm doing.
Okay. Where do you think this comes from?
I think it's my personality.
Okay.
I don't come from, it's me,
What do you think your Chinese heritage, how do you think your Chinese heritage relates to all this?
In what way? What do you mean by my Chinese heritage?
To your job, your cultural background, how does it help you in your daily duties at the Chinese Health Information Center?
Well, because I come from a Chinese background, of course I'm more understanding about Chinese patient. Say for example, if I go to a hospital to do interpreting for a patient, there's a lot of cultural background. For example, as simple as like during the month when a lady, after deliver a child, the post care is very important. Postnatal care is very important in Chinese culture. And some of the practice that I know. For example, if a woman after birth, no woman would like to be bathed right away. They will refuse to have a bath. And the Western nurse will not understand this. Can you see? Being a Chinese health worker, I will be able to say, look, this person would like not to be bathed. I think in one instant, in my experience, that a patient was begging the nurse to not bath her after the baby was born. The nurse still put her in through the cold bath. That was so upsetting. that was terrible. You know what I mean? Because the Chinese believe that if you have a cold bath after you have a baby, you might have illnesses in later life, some certain of illnesses, yeah. So this is very cultural in certain part of in Chinese culture, yeah, especially from where we come from, yeah. Can you see? So that will help me to be a better person to interpret a lot of cultural difference.
Could you please tell me a bit about the Chinatown development, the development of Chinatown in Manchester?
I cannot tell you a lot because I wasn't the first one to be in Chinatown. You know what I mean? I won't be able to tell you a lot because there are better person can tell you more about Chinatown. Because when I come up to Chinatown, it was already quite a well-formed community. You know, there are a lot of other, like the YUN is there, the Chinese Health Information Center is here, and there's a lot of other organizations were already there. So for the history of that background, I cannot tell you more. But what I can see in the last 20 years, okay, I can see a lot of development, a lot of business. Traditionally, a lot of restaurant is mainly catering for Cantonese food. But I think in the last 10 years, there are more Chinese students come over to the UK. I saw more Chinese students speaking Mandarin rather than Cantonese around Chinatown, and there are more variety of Chinese food, like catering for people from Sichuan food, spicy food, you know what I mean, and other flavor. But if you talk about in the earlier 90s, I don't see any of these restaurants, purely just Cantonese food. So that's the changes of the development in there, I would thought. And more so change a lot of people. I think the kind of like, if you student from China, they're more educated, and they stay on here and they become the young Chinese enterprise in this country. They gone into all sort of business, not just catering business. They gone into other trading, you know, maybe clothing, maybe other. I think I saw that kind of changes. Perhaps maybe in 10 years' time, there are more Mandarin restaurant or Mandarin speaker businessmen in Chinatown more than the traditional Cantonese businessmen, because a lot of the younger generation or the second generation, they're not keen to do catering business. So,
what do you think about the development of the issues that the Chinese community in Manchester has faced in these 20 years?
Sorry, what did you say?
How have the problems that the Chinese community faces changed in the last 20 years?
I don't know whether it's a problem, but I feel still the local council, in some way, the support is not enough. I personally feel that way. Why I say that? Because Chinese people or Chinese community in Manchester contribute a lot to the economic, in terms of tourism and catering, economic term. Now, in few years' time, they change the parking, the limitation. Before we can park freely after 6 o'clock, and also Sunday is free. Now, these have greatly affected the Chinese community a lot. Still today, they are still want to make appeal to the council to reduce the limits of the parking fee. Parking fee has gone up, and also the limitation also, because now they have to wait till 8 o'clock before you can get a free parking. They affect a lot because a lot of Chinese elderly are living in the city center and their children are coming to visit them during the weekend. Can you see? During the weekend to enjoy a family reunion. Now because of the high charge of the parking fee and also the limit of free parking during daytime, yeah, it makes it very hard for the local business to survive. Also because of the economic recession in the last few years, having Chinatown has been badly hit. Yeah.
Okay, so I just have one more question for you. Like I guess that you are very busy with your job. So how do you balance your working life with your personal life, and what do you do for recreation?
I enjoy to play badminton twice a week with my husband. That's my night. And sometimes I go out for walking. Yeah.
Right.
That's how I balance my life. Enjoy chatting with people. Yeah. Enjoy Chinese food in Chinatown. Have a dim sum. Yeah. That's how.
Right. Okay. So, is there anything else you would like to discuss or mention?
Not
in
really.
this interview?
No.
All right then. So, thank you very much for participating in our project and sharing your memories.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.